So obviously I'm Barry and I make noise. So I don't know why he gave me a microphone. I'm plenty loud. So this is your new organ. It is a Phoenix organ. It was made in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. Phoenix organs actually originated in England, so they're also manufactured in England. The North American facility is in Canada, and then they're also made in Australia. So each manufacturing area builds distinctly in the style of that area. So this is very much an American instrument. If you look at the ones built in England, they're going to be tall and much more casework to them, and something we wouldn't understand. So there's a lot of new things on here for your organist. For one thing, there's a lot of buttons. J.S. Bach said anybody can play the organ, it's just pushing buttons. So the more you have, the better, right? Each one of those knobs is a distinct sound, or if it were a pipe organ, it would be a rank of pipes. So anywhere from 61 to 73 pipes typically. On those stops, they're called stops, there's a name, like for example, trumpet, and a number. It could be 16, 8, 4, 2. That's the length of the longest pipe in that rank. The longest pipe in your organ is 32 feet. It'd be pretty tall. And the longer the pipe, the lower the sound. So this is the lowest pipe. It's just kind of a rumble, but it's fun. All of the majority of that rumble comes out of that big black box up in the corner, which is a subwoofer. The speaker in that box is actually aimed at the floor, which is kind of cool. Bass sound likes corners of the room, so we start out in a corner and just let it go where it wants. In about 6 months, there'll be a hole there. That's okay. So there are 64 stops in this organ, so you have 64 ranks of pipes. If we're a pipe organ, that would pretty much fill this room if it was all pipes, which is kind of cool. You have 3 keyboards. You used to only have 2. Why do you need 3? Because it's fun. But it's also tricky because if you noticed in the first hymn when I got totally lost, I was on the wrong keyboard. And I made fun of Lois for doing this. And so it all happened back to me. This is the grate. It's the powerhouse of the organ. Every other manual can be coupled or tied to that manual, and you can play it. You can play every single stop from the grate. The other manuals, it's not quite like that. This is the swell. So this is what your old organ had. This was your bottom manual, and that's just where everybody's comfortable playing. So they just think that this is going to be the one to go to. But it's the softest one on the organ. It's the choir, and it was in a cathedral where a pipe organ is set up. The pipes located where the choir sang would be controlled by that manual. So that brings us to our speaker arrangement back there. There's a few of them, 10 of them back there. Why 10? Because it's fun. So each keyboard has 2 speakers, 2 channels. And they're set up, they need to be at least 8 feet apart. They're set up to do stereo sound so that you hear movement in the pipes, just like you would in a pipe organ where it goes from the largest to the smallest. You should hear the sound move across an area as the organist plays. So if you look back there, the first speaker is a great speaker. I say great because it's awesome. No, not really. So that's this keyboard. And if I play it, you should hear sound from over there on that side of the church. And then about 8 feet away is its second speaker. So 2 speakers for the great. Then the next speaker to that is choir. And following the 5th speaker in would be choir also. That would be the lowest manual. So you probably didn't hear much move. But now when I move to the swell, you should hear that distinctly from this side of the room. So if you can hear the movement. So if you're counting, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 speakers, but we have 10. And the big box speakers back there are for the pedal. They need a little bit bigger woofer in them. So why 10 when we should only have 8? That's because on your organ, you have these magic stops, which the organist can choose any keyboard to play them on. It's called a floating division, and it has some real nice solo sounds in it. They get their own speakers too, as they should. So a little something about your speakers. Currently, there is no other church in the United States that has speakers like that. These are a first of a kind. On our first delay when it was stuck in Canada, I was talking with the guys and saying, I know the church isn't that big. I'm a little worried that those 12-inch woofers are going to be a little big. And they said, well, we've been toying with the idea of designing a new speaker. You want us to try? Sure. So the smaller speakers up there actually have a subwoofer in them that points up to the ceiling. So the subwoofer is still there, just a smaller case. It's kind of cool. All right. So the round stops are the sounds. These up here are how we mix it around on the keyboards and where we choose where the sounds will be. Okay? Enough about an organ. I could go on for days. Okay. So I'll play my first piece. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm a little rusty. Oh. So down along the bottom, you see, Lois calls them pedals, but they're called shoes. They're expression shoes. And how many do you have on the old one? 3. So they control the volumes of the keyboards, and you can do each one separately. That last one over there is the crescendo pedal, and as you press that open, it just keeps adding ranks one by one. So if you need quick volume, you hit that one. Could hurt somebody, but it'll be okay. All right. I was going to tell you one other thing. I once played for a dedication concert when I worked with a different company, and I thought I was just playing a concert. I did not know that they planned to dedicate this thing during the concert, which is why I got off the bench today. It'll make sense. So I just sat there on the bench, and I got doused in holy water. So, lesson, during dedications, just get off the bench. All right, first piece is a trumpet tune, and it's been a while since I played it. It scares me a little bit, but we'll just, Gretchen said she wanted to hear mistakes, so I promised her she'll get some. kidding. Okay, at the end, it changes from like 1 flat to 7 sharps. And my mind, half of it melts, as you can see. The next one we're going to do is just a hymn. So you get to be part of the organ then. Holy, holy, holy. You guys just hear me if I... Yeah. Okay. I just kind of yell anyway. So that was a fun game. Fun Gary. Can you use the mic? Okay, I'll play by the rules. So that's a fun hymn to do anytime. But the next piece I'm going to play is an arrangement of Soul Adorn Yourself with Gladness, possibly the best communion hymn ever written. But it never gets used enough, my opinion. So this arrangement, interestingly, this is the first time I've ever gotten to play it on a 3-manual organ. And it is specifically written to be played on a 3-manual organ. And I don't have one, so I've had to figure out other ways to make it work. But today it'll be just the way it's supposed to be. Okay, somebody once told me that if you're going to say you're an organist, you have to be able to play at least 2 Bach pieces. I don't know if I can, but I can try. So the next piece I'm going to play is challenging. It's the Jig Fugue by Bach, and it all goes along just great until it doesn't. So more than once I played this thing, the wheels fell completely off, and I just stopped, and Gretchen told me that'd be okay. So I'll play it. A lot of pedal work in it, and well, we'll just leave it at that. The next piece that I'm going to play is, so I'm not going to talk between the next two, I'll just tell you about both of the Bach pieces here. By the way, Soul Adorn Yourself with Gladness had the Bach's Christmas Oratorio worked into that too, so it's pretty cool. The next one is Sheep May Safely Graze, which would be just fine, but I've tweaked it a bit. I added I Am Jesus Little Lamb into it, and I think it's pretty cool. I played it for my mother once, and she said, well, what if Bach didn't want that in there? And I said, well, I like it. And she said, well, maybe you shouldn't call it Sheep May Safely Graze. Maybe it should be something happened on the way to the pasture. She did like it, and she was joking, but she liked to give me a hard time, I guess. Okay, this next piece is not an organ piece. It's a piano piece by Lori Line. And since I got here, Drew and Asher have been, yanking my chain with the piano guys. Like, how do I compete with the piano guys? I can't. I'm one person. But I'm going to try. So this is something I haven't told you yet, and you heard some of it in the service, but this is not just one organ, it is 4 organs. So when you sit down and turn it on, it's an American classic organ, and the voices on the stops are what they say they are. You can turn it into a German Baroque organ, has a totally different sound. It's a little hard for me to, it's harsh, but that's what it is. A French romantic organ, which is tubby and somewhat untuned, but that's how they like them, so that's what it is. And then the 4th one is an orchestral organ. So it's organ stops mixed in with orchestral instruments that were real live people playing them. They were hired, they were recorded or sampled, just like the pipes in here were sampled from real organs. So you have things like timpanis and crash cymbals, which you heard, trumpets you heard this morning. I'm going to use completely contemporary instruments here. Well, they're not contemporary, but it's got more of a contemporary feel. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, because I'll ask you afterwards and see if you can guess. So this is Once in Royal David City. Okay, what all did you hear? No, no trumpet. Clarinet, flute, actually a violin, or a Celtic fiddle. And then classic guitar was the main thing that kept tickling away there. All right, so something else I haven't told you is you've got speakers back there, but there's also still speakers up there. And I use them for the choir today. They're loud too. So, so far, I've held back. It's got a lot more. And I think it's my duty to let you hear that. So one interesting thing is there's this stop on here. It's a bombard, and it's a 32-foot bombard. And I remember playing it for Lois, and she looked at me. What in the world would I use that for? That's how it sounds. So I'm going to use it. You will feel it. You might like it. I'm also going to use the front speakers on this. So we're going to see what we can do here. I get a little confused here, so I'm going to have Caleb do the piston changes for me because I really do only have two hands. So, okay? Ready, Caleb? Can still go louder. So Aaron and I were talking, and so our goal is to have cars drive by with thumping bass and just have them be like, what is going on there? We've got to hear it. So the next piece is this little light of mine, which isn't the strongest doctrinal hymn, but John Banky has taken 3 hymns that refer to Christ as the light, or our need of Christ as the light, and incorporated it with this little light of mine. So the first hymn is The People Who in Darkness Sat. So you should hear that somewhere in there. And then How Lovely Shines the Morning Star, and O Splendor of God's Beauty Bright, Glory Bright. And this is in a bit of a jazzy style, so I'm going to try to make the organ do some jazzy stuff. All right, final piece is Abide With Me, one of my favorite hymns. With this piece, I want to teach you or help you do this. You are part of the organ. Your voices are something we as organists depend on. And if we had a button for those, we'd use it. We had a louder pedal, we'd use that too. But so I'm encouraging you right now to just sing with everything you have on this hymn, because as you progress through the verses, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger until hold thou thy cross, power. And it's going to start out as an evening hymn, soft and gentle, but just remember, you're progressing up to something big. And also, no matter what I do, you just sing your part, even if I quit. I'm telling you, it might happen. Thank you. So that's what I have for you. Definitely would be happy to try to answer any questions you have or anything you want to know. Yes?
You know, one of the delays was the stop knobs or something? Tell me about it.
Yeah. So our first delay in getting this was supposed to be here in November. I had big plans of having it in for Christmas, and it didn't happen. So the first and the longest delay was the draw knobs. And guess where they're made? Washington. So they're made over in Vancouver, and the Sindyne factory, because of COVID, was only allowed to have 3 people working in their factory at a time. And there were probably 3 or 4 organs at Phoenix in Canada waiting for draw knobs, plus all across the country. The components in this organ are actual pipe organ components. It's not something specific to a digital organ. So the Sindyne company that makes these services much more than just the Phoenix company. So that was quite a delay. Then they got all that in line and were held up a little bit by a computer chip that they ended up being able to get from England, but nothing gets here fast from England either. So that was another delay. And then we missed our opportunity because it could have shipped, but because Pastor was going to be gone, we put it off a little bit. And then when it was time for it to ship, Quebec went into lockdown the night before, and nobody would come and pick it up. Then they came and picked it up, but because they were short drivers, it sat in a warehouse for a while. And then it finally got on the road and got to the border, and they had to open it up. I told the guys in Canada, you should ship across the southern border. Much easier. So it's had some miles on it already. Another thing, I don't know if you know this or not, but there are 2 organs like this in the United States. Well, no, there's probably more than that now, but the original organ like this is in Messiah Lutheran in Eau Claire, so the mother church. It was designed by Dan Sullivan, who is one of the top 10 organists in the United States, and he's a CLC member, which is really cool. So after he picked the stop list. So with Phoenix, you buy your number of stops, and then the organist has the option of choosing what that is. Very different from any other company where they just sell you a model off the lot. Here you have some choice in it. So after he did that and the guys in Canada looked it over, they said, this is really nice. We're going to call it the Dr. Dan. And they've sold a few other Dr. Dans. But yours is an exact replica of that, or same instrument. The only difference is Messiah's has 3 ranks of pipes on it also. And that's something you should know too, that at any time when you decide you want pipes, we can do that for you too. Hook them right up to this. Be happy to do it. So, anything else?
Can you play a song with just the pipes? Just a little section of just the pipes?
You don't have pipes. You just have digital recordings. Yeah, these are just from 2 organs ago, maybe. Yeah. But if you want pipes, I'll get you some. Yes, sir.
How old is that piano or organ?
Well, they started building it in 2020, so I can't remember when you guys ordered, but it was early summer, early spring, wasn't it? Yeah. It's been almost a full year that this has been in the works. But it gets its birth date is given as 2021 because it didn't get finished until the end of March. So, brand new. When I took it out of the box, I made Caleb smell it and told him, this is the first time you'll ever smell a brand new Phoenix. Yeah. It's nice. So just one other thing, for one thing, you have gifted musicians here, very gifted musicians from what I've seen. And throwing this in front of them puts them in a whole new world. I'm the salesman, and twice today I got on the wrong keyboard there. So it's going to happen. And they're going to turn red, and that's okay, because they're organists, they'll keep going. But encourage them Tell them what you like. Give them some time. It's going to take a good 6 months for them to feel like it's theirs. And that's really cool. So, thank you for this opportunity. It's been a tremendous amount of fun to hang out with Eichsteds and eat their food. And if any of you were in here this week, I had made a total mess of your church, and nobody even said anything to me about it. So, it's really fun. Definitely.